Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we're going to be carrying on with this page from Hanna karlzon. So if you watched the last video you might be thinking, hold on a minute, I've missed something, but I've actually filled in the grass and the mushrooms on this side off camera, but I used the exact same colours and techniques that I used on this side. So if you missed last week's video, go and check that out and then you'll be able to recreate this on both sides. So what I thought we'd start with today is these big flowers up here, and rather than doing them the same as these ones like purples and pinks, I thought we'd go for like a yellow and like a creamy colour so they look a bit more like a daisy. So these two up here we're going to do the same. So I'll go ahead and zoom you in and we'll get started. So the first colour that we're going to go in with is 092, and this is like a creamy sort of yellowy type colour. So I'm going to go ahead and do a base on all of these petals, so that we can get a little bit of the colour down. So yeah, I'm sorry if you guys like to see, you know, every part that I colour. You know, let me know in the comments if you don't like the fact that I've done this other bit off camera, and you'd rather me film it all for you so that you can see. I just thought because it's quite similar to what we've already been doing, that you guys wouldn't mind if I sort of fast forwarded and skipped that little bit for you. It's just that I'm quite conscious that it's taken a long time to get these colour alongs completed. So I thought if I can do this little bit off camera and just use the same sort of colours and techniques that we used for the others, that it might make this process a little bit quicker for everybody. So let me know in the comments down below. Like I say, if you don't want me to do this, then I can just film everything like I have been doing for you. But you know, if this is what you'd prefer, then let me know. Some of you might not have a preference, and if that's the case, you know, feel free not to leave a comment. So I'm just doing a base coat on this. I'm just using normal pressure because it's quite a light colour, so I want to make sure that we can see it. Okay, so next I'm going to go in with 050. So this is more like an orangey yellow type colour, and I'm going to use this to start adding some details to these petals. So what I'm going to do is focus this around the edges. Oh, I'm going to have to sharpen this one. Okay, I'm back, it's sharpened. So I'm going to focus this right up against the edges of these petals and just sort of make the very outer edges a little bit darker. So just sort of run that all the way round. And then I'm just going to lift the pressure and just add a little bit more colour, but not as much pressure onto here, just so that it blends out and we haven't got such a harsh line around the edge. And I'm going to add a little bit down here as well. So as you can see, we've just got the lighter patch left in the middle. So I'm going to do the same for all of these petals. And using the same colour, I'm going to go ahead and fill in this as well, this sort of middle part. So I'm just using normal pressure here and just filling this in, and I'm going over the little dots as well. Then taking 093, I'm going to go ahead and fill in the centre of the flower so it's like a really light brown colour. And I'm just going to use this to darken up the very inside edge here. So just use normal pressure and add a little bit of this brown colour into here. Okay, so that's how that one's looking at the moment. So I'm going to do the same for this one so that it matches. So I'll go ahead and do that now. Okay guys, next we're going to tackle these leaves that are around the flowers. So I'm going to go in with 118, which is our lightest shade of green, and I'm going to add the highlights to these leaves first. So here I'm guessing that the light would be catching this at the top edge. So I'm just going to go ahead and add this colour right along this top edge. So that's where our lightest point will be. This one down here is quite in shadow, so I don't think we'll put any highlight on that one. And then this one, the highlight is going to be on this side. So we'll go ahead and lighten up this side. And again, for this one down here, that's going to be in shadow because it's further down. So we're not going to put any highlight on that one. So next I'm going to go in with 045, which is our medium shade. And I'm going to go ahead and go over some of the lighter colour. I'm just using light pressure for this. And then take it right up so that it meets the lighter colour. And then I'm just going to start to bring this colour down and darken it up as you come away so that you get a bit of a darker colour down here. Then I'm going to go in with 082, which is our darkest shade. And I'm going to run this colour right along the very edge. Again, I'm just using light pressure here. And I'm just going to fill in this little space here. Again, just using light pressure. Then I'm going to go back in with 045 and I'm going to go over this with normal pressure, so that it makes it a little bit more green and just blends everything together nicely. Then back in with 118 and just go over this bit here to make sure that this blends together well. So we've already done the highlight on this one, so I'm going to go in with 045 and start adding some of the medium shade. So again, I'm just going to take this with light pressure and take it right up to where we added the lighter green. And I'm going to use this colour to fill in this back part of the leaf as well, because this would be a little bit darker. So just used a bit more pressure there and darken that up. Then going in with 082, our darkest shade, I'm going to add this along here. So again, I'm just using light pressure and just bringing this down the very edge, and then just filling in a little bit of this leaf with this colour. Then I'm going to go back in with 045 and just go over that again with more pressure so that it all blends together nicely. And then back in with our lighter shade just to go over this blend here. And I think I'm going to go in with the darker shade 082 and just darken up this very bottom edge here. So I'm just using light pressure, and then I'm going to darken up this very top here and just drag that down the right hand side. Okay, so now we've got this leaf here which is quite hidden at the back, so this one's going to be darker, so I'm going to use 045 and do a base coat on this one. So it's quite difficult to get to because it's right in the spine of the book, so we'll get the colour as far in as we can. And the same for this one down here. This one's going to be darker, so I'm going to go ahead and fill this one in with the medium green as well. It's always difficult when they're there to try and get the colour in as close as possible. Okay, so now we're going to go in with 082 and add some shadow to these ones. So for this one, I'm going to go ahead and darken up this edge here along the bottom. And I'll take it all the way up to the top and then just sort of lift the pressure to blend this out. Because we want these ones to be a little bit darker. And the same for this one, I'm going to darken up the middle section and all under here. So now we've just got the stalks to do for these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use 082, which is our darkest colour, and I'm just going to use light pressure and add a little bit of darkness here underneath where it joins to the petals. And then I'll do a little bit of a shadow here from this leaf, and then down here would be in a bit of shadow from these petals, so again just light pressure for that. Then going back in with 045, we're going to go ahead and fill this in, so just use normal pressure and go over where you've just added the darker green, just blend that all together. Okay guys, so that's all the leaves done on this side, so we're going to move back over to this side. We've only got 2 to do over here, so we'll get these done next. Okay, so for this one we're going to go in with our lightest shade, which is 118, and we're going to add a little bit of highlight on the top of the leaf. So again, I'm just going to go in and add this colour all the way along this edge. And we'll do the same for this one here. I'm just going to add a tiny little bit on the top edge there. Next, going in with 045, I'm going to add our medium shade to the middle section. Then going in with 082, I'm going to go ahead and darken up under here. So I'm just going to use this with light pressure and just follow the line of the leaf all the way down to the bottom. And then I'm just going to lift the pressure to blend this out ever so slightly so that we haven't got a harsh line. And then I'm going to go back in with 0.45 and blend that all together. Okay, so for this leaf, I'm going to go in with 0.45 and I'm going to darken up this side bit here. So I'll just join it into the lighter colour again and then darken up that bit. And then because this bit is all underneath, I'm going to go ahead and make all of this darker. So I'm going to do a base with the 0.45. Then going back in with 0.82, I'm going to add some shadow to this. So I'm going to shade under the mushroom here because this would cast a bit of a shadow. And then I'm going to drag it down the left-hand side. And then just go in with 0.45 just to make sure that this is blended together nicely. Okay guys, so that's all of our leaves and flowers done. So the next thing that we've got to tackle is these. So I've decided to do them pink. So I'm going to go in with 120, which is quite a dark pink. And I'm going to go ahead and fill these in. So for this, I'm just going to use normal pressure and just fill this in completely so that we get quite a nice dark pink colour. Next I'm going to go in with 0.12 and I'm going to go ahead and fill in the centre with this pink because this is slightly lighter. So we've got like the dark bits coming off and then the lighter centre. So I'm going to do the same for all of these, so I'll probably speed this bit up for you. Okay guys, so next we're going to move on to this door and I wanted to make it look like the shutters that we've done up here. So I'm going to go in with 0.57 and do a base coat on this. So I'm just going to use light pressure and go ahead and add this colour all over the door frame. Not the door frame, sorry, the actual door. I'll get my words out in a second. Okay guys, so next taking 0.56, which is a slightly darker shade, we're going to start to add in the shadows and sort of like the darker parts to the door. So the first thing that I'm going to do is go ahead and go underneath where these rocks are and just darken this up a little bit because this would cast a shadow on the door. So I'm just going right up to the stones and then just lifting the pressure as you come away, just so that it will blend out a little bit better when we come to blending, because we don't want like a harsh line to have to get rid of. And we're going to take it along the bottom as well. And again, just lift the pressure to start to blend that out. I'm going to lift the pressure along here to blend this bit out as well. Okay, and then next what we're going to do is go ahead and darken up these lines that are in here. And then for this bit here, because she's added like a knot in there, I'm going to go ahead and fill all of this in darker on the inside. So again, that looks like it's pushed further back. And then carry on going over the lines around it. And I'm going to go ahead and darken up this edge here where the door meets. So just use light pressure for that, just to add a little bit of colour all the way down. And then I'm going to darken up underneath the door handle, so it's got a bit of a shadow. Then going back in with our lighter colour, which was 057, I'm going to go ahead and go over where we've done this blend and just sort of bring this up a little bit further, just so it blends together nicely. I'm going to take it all the way along this edge here by the door. I'm just using normal pressure now, so we'll get a bit more colour. And then blend out this bit up here. And along this edge. And then I'm going to take this along the right hand side of these sort of cracks in the door, just to darken up the one side. Okay, so looking at it from afar, you can't really see where I've gone over the lines with the darker colour, so I'm just going to make them a little bit wider just so that you can really see the colour. So I'm just going to take it along the right hand side and just darken up some of these lines. Okay, that's looking good. So I'm going to do the same for the other side. So next I'm going to go in with 082, which is a darker colour, and I'm just going to fill in the gap in between the doors with this really dark colour. And then I'm going to use this to fill in the doorknobs. So I'm just going to fill them into there and just leave that little bit on the top as like a highlight. So I'll do the same for this one. And then I'm just going to use this to darken up inside these knots in the wood so that this is quite dark. Okay, so next we're going to start on these like little door steps here. So I'm going to go in with 096, which is like a light grey colour, and I'm going to go ahead and fill these in. So I'm going to make these look like stones so that they're going to match the stones that we do around the door as well. Then we're going to go in with 097, which is slightly darker, and we're going to add some shadows to these steps. So I'm going to go ahead and shade right underneath the doorway where this would be cast in a shadow. And then we'll go underneath here where this step would be cast in a shadow as well. And I'm going to darken up the edges on both sides. And then I'm randomly just going to do like some darker patches here and there just to make it look like it's not all one colour. And then I'm just going to go back in with 096 and just go over all of this just to blend it all together and smudge out these little marks that I've just put in. So I think we'll use the same colours to do the stones around the edge. So I'll go in with, not that colour, I'll go in with 096 and do a base coat on all of these. Then going back in with 097, I'm going to add some shade to them. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and shade underneath each of the bricks where the brick on top would be cast in a shadow. So I'll go ahead and do that first. Okay, so that's sort of like the top's all done. This one I'm going to shade this edge as well because it's more or less on the top, just so that they look a bit darker on both sides. And then I'm going to shade the bottom section here as well. And I think we'll do the bottoms of these, or the edges should I say. all the way down. I'm just going to darken the tops of these little tiny ones up because they would be in a little bit more shade, and we'll add some shade there from these petals. This one, because it's got the rocks on top, I'm going to go ahead and shade this section as well, because these little rocks on top would be casting a bit of a shadow onto there. So we'll do the same here, add a little bit of darkness there and here and all along the top here. Shade a little bit of this top one as well. So here we'd have some shadow. And down here, oh, it looks like I forgot to do all of these ones. We'll just add a little bit of shadow to these. And then we'll go ahead and do this edge, just sort of bring it across so it's a bit more of a shadow. And then down here, we can darken this up. Okay, next going in with 048, which is a little bit of like a mossy green colour. We're going to add a little bit of moss to these stones. So what I'm going to do, like here where the grass is, I'm just going to add a tiny little bit of this colour. So I'm not going to use a lot of pressure. I just want to get a little tiny bit of this green colour on there. Zoom you in so you can see a bit better, but can you see I've just added a tiny little bit of green to that. So we're going to do the same here where the top bit of this grass would be touching this brick, and just add a little bit of like a mossy colour to it. We'll do the same over here, so I'm going to go over the darker colour that we put in and then just bring the moss towards the front. And the same here, add a little bit of moss. So this is just like where the grass has been rubbing on the wall and created a little bit of moss. So I'm only using light pressure just to get a little bit of colour down. And I'm going to add some here underneath this mushroom as well, because I think this would have a little bit on there. And we'll do some here. To break it up a little bit so it's not all greys. Then this little one here, I think we'll add a bit of moss to that. And this one's over here. Okay, hopefully you guys saw that and I was in frame, but I've literally just added some moss to the side edges there, and then to these side edges, and then I added a little bit here underneath this leaf and a little bit on this side, and then I randomly added a little bit in this one here, and then some to these little ones. I've just darkened up with a little bit of the moss green as well. I just looked at the camera and I couldn't see the top, and I thought, oh no, I bet I haven't filmed that, so that's where I did, in case you were wondering. So this is how it's looking at the moment. So we've just got the background left to do.